This is Keith at Half Tracks and Honeybees. And today we're going to do part 6 of our Building Bertha series. There you can see when we found her in the barn. And here she is once we got done. So here we get into some pictures. That's the headlight and the guard, and showing the little cat's eye there at the top. Here we have part of the cable for the winch and some headlights laid out. There's all the pieces parts for the headlight assemblies, quite a few parts. There's inside the light, showing the back side of the seal beam. Not sure why I have the burn barrel in here. There's the braided hoses where the wires go from the lights down through the fenders into the frame rail for the wires. There they are after I cleaned them up, knocked the crud off of them. There's the headlight assembly taken apart. All the different pieces parts. There's the brush guards for the lights. There's the base assembly showing the wiring coming out of it. More parts. Cleaning them up. There's the seal beam for the headlight, back side, front side. There's the little wire that goes in the bottom, showing the two contacts where the pedestal mounts down into, that makes them removable. Oh, that's where I burned a hole in my shirt with a welder. There's the brush guard and the bottom assembly in place. There's the wires going through the fender. They're showing the brush guards on both sides. There's the headlight assembly with a little grommet to make it waterproof. There it is going through the frame rail. That's the cable for the winch. Well, there's the lights on. That's the not the marker light, but the blackout light with the marker light on top. More wiring. There's placing the removable light down into the base assembly. You can see how that fits. Headlights lit up. Oh, that's the big armor for the oil pan. Just more shots of the lights. There's the end of the winch assembly where the hook goes. You can see that piece earlier is where the chain connects to the cable. Some old NOS parts. 1945. There's the waxed packaging. Some NOS wiring for the pedestal lights. Showing the windshield armor. Showing some Pioneer tools. There's the bulkhead behind the driver's seat and the co-driver's seat. There's the axe. More shots of the tools. There's the winch with the chain attached. There's getting the bulkhead in place behind the seats, getting that modified to fit like it should. There's the lockout for the winch controls. Here we are working on some of the rear assembly. Got it primered up and putting the track guards on the sides, the track armor. That's some old pieces I didn't use, but it came with the vehicle, along with these. Some miscellaneous armor pieces that I didn't use that came with the half track. Had a few numbers on them, but I didn't know they were pretty random. Here we have the pieces that I did use. All nice and drilled and countersunk. The rear assembly again. There's that oil pan armor. That's a heavy little chunk. Bulkhead once again. Now I'm calling it the bulkhead. I don't know what the official name for it is, but you can see there where it goes behind the seats. Once again, here's the rear assembly put in place. I used the tractor to set that on. Starting to look like a half track, isn't she? Looking pretty good. Oh, that's the oil pan armor in place. There's some armor on the sides of the engine. More side armor underneath. That's a strainer that goes in the fuel tank. There's my parts department. There's the armor waiting to be used. There's the old fuel tank. Some side armor. Rear assembly. Tractor sure did come in handy for moving some of this heavy stuff around. Lots of holes for all those 3/8 by 24 flathead screws. Lots of countersinking. That's getting some stuff ready for priming and painting. Scraping some of the rust off. Some of it had been sitting around for several years before I got it. Back to the parts department. There's the tractor lifting up the rear assembly, and we got some painting going on. Lots of stuff going on at this point. Like I said, it was very handy having the tractor to hold that up while I could give it a good paint job. Here we have all the armor turning olive drab. That's just an NOS seat cushion. Here we are putting the rear assembly in place with the gantry crane. I basically set it in there with the tractor and then used the gantry crane to get it exactly where it needed to go. Starting to look like something, isn't it? Rattle cans and a lizard. Working on the track armor, getting the brackets, getting the bolts in place. Here's on the side where the hinged lid goes over. There's the hardware for the side toolboxes. There, we're starting to put the toolboxes in place. Got the little angle iron, getting that in place. There's the fuel cutoffs for each fuel tank. It goes behind the driver's seat. That's the gauge I use for a voltmeter. It fit just perfect. Looks great. Here we're running the fuel lines down the inside of the storage boxes. There's the rings for the fuel tank. More fuel lines. There's one of the original NOS rubberized fuel tanks that seals itself if you shoot it. Here we have some of the carriage assemblies for the machine guns. There's an ammo box that goes on the carriage. There's the pintle mounts for the sides. Got stuff dangling everywhere, priming and painting it. Lots of stuff hanging around, turning green. Here we're cutting the metal that goes on the sides that hold all the armor together. I don't know if you call it strapping. That stuff right there. Had to cut it and then drill and countersink it. Very precise to get everything to work right. Like I said, lots of drilling and countersinking. I didn't have anything fancy to work with, just a little drill press and a drill with a countersink and a lot of patience. And a nice little horizontal bandsaw, but nothing fancy. Getting the sides on. Starting to look better. You can see the toolboxes up there. Getting the seat cushions. Getting some dimensions. There we're working on the angle that goes around the perimeter at the top of the armor. There's some of the strapping showing the 3/8 inch flatheads with the lock nuts. Back in the storage box here. There's the angle going around the top of the armor, all the way up to the windshield. Lots of lock nuts. There's some of the angle I used around the top. Getting that measured up. Looking pretty good. A lot of cutting and drilling. But that was a fun part of the project. I actually enjoyed putting all this together. Looking pretty good, Bertha. If you hear that noise in the background, it's my beagle snoring. There we have some more carriages for the machine guns, the pennels on the sides. Starting to get everything in place, all the little details. There's a good shot of the pennel. Or the pennel mount. Okay, looking pretty good. Well, that's it for part 6. Stay tuned for part 7. It's out there a few weeks from now. Y'all have a great day.